Hey guys, what's going on? Druzy here, back again with another South Park Phone Destroyer video and another beginner's guide for 2021, an updated one, this time for the sci-fi theme, the second theme that you unlock within the campaign or PvE mode of South Park Phone Destroyer, and that is why we are talking about it today. Now, I know that a lot of you request me to do superheroes after adventure, but I am going to go in order of unlockable themes, and technically sci-fi is next on the list, which is why I'm covering them now. Sci-fi was one of my favorite themes in the entire game, still is one of my top themes in the entire game. A very underrated theme. I think a lot of people sleep on the strength of sci-fi, and we'll go into greater detail on all of those things here in this video. But sci-fi, a very good theme in this meta for a variety of different reasons. So just like the adventure beginner's guide video, we'll be talking about the best cards in the theme, the top 12 cards in my opinion. We will talk from number 1 all the way to number 12, and the 12th one is up for debate, I think, more than anything else. And then we've got the best theme combos to pair with sci-fi specifically, and reasons why. And then I will give you some deck suggestions as well, similar to the adventure theme beginner's guide, where we will talk about some really good decks to play with sci-fi. So now that we've talked about all of those things, let us quickly talk about the best cards, in my opinion, in the theme. Alright guys, so looking at this real quick, obviously the top card in sci-fi easily is Space Pilot Bradley. I know that some of you might think it's somebody else, but you shouldn't think that. Space Pilot Bradley is easily one of the top 5 cards in the entire game. This card is a monster. The fact that at level 3, even at level 3, there are people at high tier legendary playing this card at level 3, level 4, what have you. He's a menace. He is absolutely insanely strong and needs to be adjusted. He's been adjusted once, but the allied assassins that are sped up when they spawn and do a brief stun as well every time they spawn is insane. Space Pilot Bradley basically makes Gizmo Ike, if you can keep Gizmo Ike alive, ridiculously strong. As well as some other cards within this theme. This theme has some decent assassins. 4S Monkey is much better because of Space Pilot Bradley. He makes Hanky one of the strongest cards in the whole game. Like, Hanky is an absolute devastation. Just think of like Hanky and Mysterion at high levels with this card, and think of all the damage you could do. It's insane. Space Pilot Bradley is really, really, really good, and is probably one of the best Bradleys, if not the best Bradley in the entire game right now. The number 2 card, in my opinion, for sci-fi is Visitors, and Visitors are one of the strongest range cards in the game. They were once the rarest card to obtain in the entire game. Then Red Links decided to ridiculously buff the amount of opportunities you could have to get Visitors, as well as buff Visitors all around. Visitors was a troll card for a long time because nobody had them. They were harder to get than even legendary cards, and they're a rare card. And now that is absolutely not the case, and they are in basically every single sci-fi deck that's ever existed. Like, if you play anyone that plays sci-fi and you're not playing Visitors, you're doing something wrong, or you need to get them leveled up. Because basically, if you're running sci-fi, there's no reason not to play this card. Yes, they can be killed very easily because of their low health, but their insane damage output, their attack speed is insane. And the fact that there's 2 of them just chipping away with their insane attack speed with the range is insane. If not dealt with, Visitors are a huge threat in the game. Potentially, and in many opinions for very good reasons, the top 2 cost fighter card in the game is Enforcer Jimmy. Now, it's very close between Enforcer Jimmy and Space Warrior Token. You're just going to get debates back and forth on what people's opinion on that is. The reason why Enforcer Jimmy is better than Space Warrior Token in that regard is the fact that his aura, you make it impossible for enemies to be able to use their charge abilities in his aura that are affected by it, is insanely potent and insanely helpful for you in any situation. And the fact that he's such a low cost, you can easily cycle him back around probably very quickly, because most people that run sci-fi generally run fairly cheap decks so they can cycle back. They're very good cheap cost cards that are very prominent in this theme. So Enforcer Jimmy is very good for that. Space Warrior Token is also a very good 2 cost fighter card. He was 3 energy cost at one point, and he was not really that great. But when he was reduced down to 2 energy, he became a menace and one of the strongest cards in the entire game for a variety of, both in ladder and in team wars. He's insanely strong if he's not dealt with. So he's definitely someone you need to keep your eye on, someone you definitely need to pay attention to, because if you let him get that charge out to the nearest enemy, Oftentimes that could be the new kid, and as you can see at max level 6, 176 attack boost. If he's able to get that to new kid, he, you know, with some help, he could easily help you get a bar very quickly. So Space Warrior token needs to be dealt with as much as humanly possible. Sizzler Stewart has definitely seen a big surge in the meta for a lot of very good reasons. He, to me, is the best legendary card in this theme now. I'll debate and say that it's 6th Element Randy, and that's a pretty good argument. Both their cards are very strong right now in this meta. But to me, Sizzler Stewart, that Warcry is so good. The fact that you're going to get that stun off, the fact he's going to... They buffed how he gets his speed every time he attacks. It used to be 10 hits to get to the max speed. It's now 7. So that is very undervalued. And the fact that there was a lot of people playing Swarm or other things, and, you know, kind of beefier, tankier cards, to the point to where Sizzler Stewart could pretty much get that speed to full max speed relatively quickly, is just overall just devastating. If you have Sizzler Stewart to a high enough level in Legendary Arena and you're running Sci-Fi, you're pretty much going to be seeing him in every deck. Key to using him the most successfully generally is if you're running against someone else who has Sci-Fi, use your Sizzler second. The #1 rule for a stun related card, Professor Chaos, Sizzler Stewart, use them second. Don't use them first. Obviously, you'll know what you're playing against at the time you're going to cast this card. This is definitely not a card you're going to put right at the beginning of the match behind New Kid or something like that. You're going to play it situationally to get his Warcry to the maximum effect. And usually because of that, you're going to probably know most likely what your opponent has. If your opponent, again, is running Sci-Fi, yes, you don't know 100% that they're going to be running Sizzler Stewart. But if they do, or if they have ran Sizzler Stewart, always make sure that your rotation, when you use him again, is against him second, not first. That is usually going to be more successful for you down the road if you go and stick by that rule. Now, a lot of people might be surprised that I have Mind Control so high on this list. I have it 6th overall in this theme. Mind Control is one of the most underrated spells. Myself included, I don't run Mind Control when I run Sci-Fi, but almost, I'd say a vast majority of the people that do definitely run Mind Control. Mind Control can be a huge value to you at very situational moments in a battle. The fact that you can control a target for the total duration of 9 seconds at level 5. It does go up, as you can see, to 9.5 seconds at level 6. But it's just a cheap cost. It can be very devastating to use against it. It's one of the best ways to deal with someone running a Douglas, because you can just send the Douglas right back at him and do whatever the devastation was that the Douglas was going to do to you. That's when Mind Control really saw a huge resurge into the meta, was during the Douglas infestation. Douglases have kind of taken a step back with their nerfs that they've received over the course of over a year or so now, so you don't see them as much, but Mind Control is still valuable in low arenas when you may run into something like that. It's a cheap spell, and situationally can almost guarantee you a win at times if used right. It does take some practice to get good with this spell. I'm not great with it, that's why I don't run it, I'm going to be honest, but if you run it at the right times, there are some high-level, high-skill players in this game that run Mind Control all the time, especially with whenever they're running Sci-Fi, for obvious reasons, because it has such high value. Now, 6th Element Randy, to me, is the next best card here in this theme. I like him a lot. I think he's doing pretty well right now in this meta. As you can see, I do have him to level 5, and his stats at level 5 are insane. Obviously, most of you probably don't have him to level 5, so you're going to experience him at level 3, maybe level 4, maybe level 2. Even at level 2, I think he still has some value, but if you have a level 4 epic version of any of the Randys, they are better than a level 2 6th Element Randy. But 6th Element Randy at level 3, and especially at level 4, is very viable in this meta at pretty much any arena. I mean, obviously, you're not going to have that down in Bronze, but especially in Legendary Arena, that is a very potent way to deal with a lot of things, and he is pretty much a card that's going to be canceled almost immediately a lot of the times, because his Roombas can be very devastating. They are tank units, so they would be buffed by something like the mystical version of Bradley, right? Archangel Bradley would buff the Roombas if you're running that with this deck or something like that. But overall, you're running 6th Element Randy just to be devastating. He hits so hard because he's a legendary card. Just his kicks just do devastating. I mean, 302 at level 5 is insane. That's a lot of damage. But he doesn't have the greatest of health, so he needs some backup. And oftentimes people will run him with little to no tanks, and he is the tank card that they use, which can be viable if he gets enough Roombas out to kind of help him tank a little bit better. But 6th Element Randy is no joke and is definitely a very strong card for this theme. One of the more underrated cards is Alien Drone. I actually put Alien Drone ahead of some cards that a lot of people will be very confused about. This is one of the strongest defensive cards in the entire game. It is a drone, or it's considered a drone, basically similar to Thunderbird, respectively. There are no other drones as of right now in this game, but obviously Redlinks has hinted that they will do that for other themes in the future. We just don't know what they would be as of the recording of this video. But Alien Drone, again, a hugely very nice defensive card. It drops a Roomba when it deploys immediately, and then afterwards it is a flying unit, which means it's going to be harder to deal with, and it's just going to chip away and do some pretty good job for you defensively. That's what it's used for. It's not an offensive based card. Yes, it can get to nuke it and do damage, but that's not what you utilize it for. You utilize Alien Drone with something else to just be a devastating defensive unit. I like it a lot with my Sci-Fi superhero deck that I'm running right now. I run it a lot with Lava. I think Lava is really good at slowing units down, and then Alien Drone can just chip away in the air against a bunch of different fighter cards or whatever is on the ground coming at you. And it's a pretty potent combo, if I do say so myself. But I think people need to stop sleeping on Alien Drone and give it the props it deserves. Now, I wouldn't focus on Alien Drone early on in your leveling experience of Sci-Fi. I would wait because there are better cards, as you can see in front of it. But it is still a good card overall. If you're in the early stages and you get your hands on Mechatimi, I would focus on Mechatimi. As you can see, I'm one away from a level 5 Mechatimi, which I really want to be able to try out, to be honest with you. But Mechatimi is so easy to deal with. That's why I put him a little bit lower on this list. In the past, he was the best Sci-Fi card, hands down. He was devastating. When they nerfed the range of his charge ability, because remember, his charge ability used to be the entire field. You remember that? Do you guys remember that? That is not the case anymore. There is a range on it. So as you can see, the power range is 7 tiles, whatever you want to call it, as far as the range, which is still pretty big. The aura is a lot bigger than you would think. It's about almost half the field, give or take a little bit. But it used to be, again, the entire field. It is now has a range on it. So the range has made him a little bit easier to deal with. But if you have a lightning bolt, I believe at so a level 6 lightning bolt would kill a level 4 Mechatimi. I believe it would take a level 7 to kill level 5 Mechatimi. So as long as you have a lightning bolt 2 levels higher than the Mechatimi, you will kill it with one hit. And a lot of people, especially in Legendary Arena, have level 6 and level 7 lightning bolts if they're running adventure. Most likely, not everybody, but most people would be. Then because of that, you can just take Mechatimi out with that. Mechatimi is pretty much canceled almost all the time. He is a card that you basically use as a way to cycle away their cancel cards sometimes, which is what a lot of people do with him. But because of the fact that he's so easy to deal with, that's why I moved him down a little bit. But it doesn't diminish his value, because if you keep him on the field to use his charge ability with that temporary mind control that you can have, he can be absolutely devastating, and he hits pretty hard. His health is okay and all that kind of stuff, but Mechatimi is still strong, even though he's not as strong as he once was. I think another card that people sleep on from this theme is Alien Queen Red, especially since her Warcry was buffed a number of months ago, maybe even it was a year ago now, where she throws out the eggs that poisons the enemy for the duration of them being alive. It used to be that the poison had a duration that it lasted for, so it lasted for so much damage and then it stopped. Now it is until they're purified or they're dead. Whatever she poisons with her Warcry ability, it's permanent. It's permanent unless it's dealt with, whether it's Purify's used on it, Shaman Token is deployed and used, or whatever. But there are a couple ways to cancel out the poison, essentially. But if you don't cancel it out, it will slowly kill the enemy unit, whatever it is. And that is a huge, more undervalued buff, I think, than some people gave it credit for. I use her in my Sci-Fi and superhero deck because, again, there's no cancel with those two themes. This is probably the closest I have to a cancel. And again, with something like Lava and Alien Drone, that's a really potent kind of defensive combo to also pair Alien Queen Red. Usually pairing Alien Queen Red to deal with a bunch of cards like usually more than 5 energy cost against you. Usually some bigger, kind of tankier units are good to deal with, or a bunch of range units to kind of turn the tide in your favor. She's a defensive-minded card. She's not there for offensive purposes necessarily. So use her wisely, and if you do, you can definitely reap the rewards of what she's able to do with her Warcry ability. Warboy Tweak is still used a lot. He still has value. He once probably was much better on this, or higher on this list than what he is now. But his Warcry is insane as far as the value. There's no reason to ever use Hyperdrive in this game, because Warboy Tweak does that. Not as long, but basically as long. And then he's also a unit on the field that does damage. It's insane that how much value Warboy Tweak has right now with the buff he's received. Again, I believe it was about a year ago now. Again, his stats aren't sexy on paper, but it's his Warcry that is his true value. If you use his Warcry right, you can definitely turn the tide of a battle in your favor, and Warboy Tweak is still not someone to sleep on. I do like Bounty Hunter Kyle. He's my closest card I have to a level 6 epic card right now, and that's not the reason why he's on this list. This is the number 12 slot. This is probably the most debated thing. You could insert any epic card here you want, realistically. Bounty Hunter Kyle is good here. Gizmo Ike you could debate would be here now because of Space Pilot Bradley. Before Space Pilot Bradley, Gizmo Ike was still basically a worthless troll card in its own right. You could say that Osimo is worthy to be here, but a lot of people, again, still like Bounty Hunter Kyle. He's received some nerfs. He's easy to deal with. There's a lot of ways to kill him very quickly. And if you're in Legendary Arena, he doesn't have a lot of value in realistic terms, because most people, if they're running Adventure, are running Ink and Craig, who will just beam him to death immediately upon him spawning. So, I mean, realistically, if you can keep him alive, he can be very, very good. His ability is super useful because it's going to be buffing damage to all the units. It'll heal them if he kills things, and he's flying, so he's hard to deal with. There's a lot of upside to Bounty Hunter Kyle if you're able to keep him alive, but good luck. In this meta, it's not as easy as you think it would be, but he's good at lower arenas. He's good at medium, or even Silver League for a while. But once you get to Legendary Arena, he falls off a cliff. Yes, he's situationally still good up there. I've seen people in high tier ladders still use Bounty Hunter Kyle. I'm not saying he's worthless. I'm just saying that he's so situationally iffy that you most of the time, would not get a lot of value out of him. You're not going to get the amount of value you used to get out of him. But you could say the same thing about Human Kite. Some of the Kyles have received nerfs, at least the epic versions, more or less, that have really hurt them a lot. And so, because of that, their value has diminished slightly. Bounty Hunter Kyle's kind of in that mode right now that he still has value there. He can still be good every so often, but he's not just going to completely dominate a match anymore like he used to be able to do if you were able to keep him alive. But yeah, I mean, some of the other cards within this theme are not completely worthless, I'm going to be honest, or not as much so as Adventure. Astro Butters, if you have the ability to level him up, I would do it. He's the first level 7 card I ever got in the entire game. He was my favorite card for the longest time. He still has value here. His Death Wish is still good, so he's not completely worthless. Alien Clyde in the early game is very undervalued. His poison amount, the amount of damage his Warcry can do to one single unit, is very good. He's very useful in Team Wars because he can take out a lot of cards, especially like a Mechatimi, as almost like you don't even need a Lightning Bolt or anything else. If you have Alien Clyde, his poison will straight up kill a level 4 Mechatimi at level 6. It's insane what he can do there. But I'm not saying focus all your energy on Alien Clyde. I'm just saying, like, don't completely overlook him. 4S Monkey has kind of seen a resurgence a little bit in the meta. A lot of that is because of Space Pilot Bradley. His Death Wish, the Ashplosion damage, is very undervalued. The amount of damage that it does can be really good to kind of be like a counter swarm a little bit. I like 4S Monkey. He's funny. He has a lot better attack speed than people give it credit for. But the big thing is, it seems like 4S Monkey, for whatever reason, is secretly a headhunter card in disguise and just seems to go for new kids sometimes more than the units that you want it to. Freeze Way is a card that has some value, more in Team Wars, I think, than Ladder. I've seen it very rarely in Ladder. I've seen it a couple of times, but to be honest, the duration isn't long. The 4 seconds isn't long enough to make it truly valuable. That's just my opinion. Gizmo Ike has seen a surge in the meta because of Space Pilot Bradley. He can be useful now, a little bit more useful than at one point or another. I wouldn't put a lot of effort into Gizmo Ike. He is kind of a fan favorite to a lot of people. A lot of people really like Gizmo Ike. I don't have anything against Gizmo Ike, but he could be a little bit better. They have tried to make Ice Sniper Wendy better and have continued to fail. This is a card I would not put any effort into at all in this theme until something drastic changes. Even with the buff that she received, I think it was 4 to 6 months ago, something like that, she still hasn't seen enough value to me to make her worth it. So I would leave Ice Sniper Wendy alone. Program Stan, underrated with his attack speed. His attack speed is actually pretty good. His charge is pretty decent if he's able to get it off. It does do some brief amount of damage as well as freeze for a brief duration of 2 seconds. But he's not amazing. His stats really aren't great beyond that. Poison is insanely good for team wars, and really that's about it. It's not that amazing for ladder. It can be situationally good at ladder, mostly to deal with range cards or other annoying little cheap cards that can be easily killed by it. But that's really about it. Robo Bebe was probably once one of the top 3 or 4 cards in this theme, period. Now that's not really the case anymore. She's really not that amazing, but she can be okay situationally. Cyborg Kenny is one that a lot of people like to use from this theme because, again, if the Death Wish can be useful at times. I'm not a big fan of Cyborg Kenny, but I'm not saying he's completely worthless. Again, in the 12 slot insert favorite epic here, he would be in that category as well. That he has value at times. I'm horrible with him. So again, I don't, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have value. That's not what that means. Just because I'm bad at a card, which I'm bad with every card, let's be realistic. But I'm not great with him. I don't get the value out of him that I would like to receive when I play him. So that's why I don't think it's as good, because other cards are a little bit easier to get that value out of, and Cyborg Kenny is more strategic, is more skill-based, I guess you could say. Higher skill sometimes to get him to work, but at the same time, if you are over-leveled over somebody, you can devastate with him, so he still has value there. I don't think Marine Craig's that great. Powerfist Dougie's probably the top 2, probably the second best Dougie in this whole game right now, or third best, I guess, in this game right now. Still doesn't mean it's that great. Osimo, again, we already talked about that. He's a decent card all around. But now that, again, we've talked about the best cards within this theme, let's break down real quick what I think is the best theme combos to pair with Sci-Fi. Alright guys, so pretty easy. The best themes to pair with Sci-Fi, of course, Mystical is number 1. Mystical Sci-Fi has been in the meta for quite a while now, and it's not looking like it's going anywhere anytime soon. It's still very good, still very strong. There's a lot of potential with that theme combination that makes it very, very good. You do get cancel cards with Mystical that really help Sci-Fi out. You can do a very cheap kind of deck composition with Mystical. You can put a Zen Cartman as a good tank there in front, and then pair a bunch of different cards to kind of keep the Sci-Fi units alive, and do very quick rotations with cheap energy cost and just devastate the enemy new kids and stuff like that. So Mystical Sci-Fi, a very potent combination. Sci-Fi Adventure is still usable in this meta. It's not as good as it once was, but it still has potency there. It is a favorite of a lot of people. It was at one point kind of an OG combination. Remember Astronaut Butters and Smuggler Ike? Do you remember that combination? Remember? Was one of the strongest theme combos in the game when that was a thing. Mostly when commons ruled the world, Adventure Sci-Fi was the best, and it's seen kind of a resurgence again and still has some value there. Fantasy can be decent with Sci-Fi units. You can do, again, some kind of cheap swarm potential with this combination, and a lot of the Sci-Fi cards that are really kind of top end can pair really well with some of the fantasy cards as well. You can do Space Pilot Bradley decks with very cheap common, assassin units from fantasy. You got like Underpants Gnomes, you've got Paladin Butters, you got Princess Kenny, and you've got also things like, of course, Visitors can pair really well with something like being behind Slave, be able to chip down units while Slave heals, hopefully himself, and be able to stay alive, things like that. There are a bunch of nice little combos with those, with that theme pairing. And then Superheroes and Sci-Fi realistically isn't the best theme combination. It's my favorite combination. But again, there's not a ton of value, only in the fact that there's no cancel there. So you have to play very defensive. You have to be a little bit more strategic. And for me, I have some card levels that can kind of make me able to make up for the fact that I don't have those things. And because I'm used to playing that kind of off-meta combination, I guess I wouldn't say I've mastered it, but I've kind of figured out a way around playing against deck combinations that are a little bit better than the one that I run. Do I win every single match with Sci-Fi superheroes? Of course not. I don't. You guys can watch enough of my streams to find that out for yourselves. But I still like it. It's a fun combination to play, even though realistically it's not the best out there. So now that we've kind of talked again about best themes pair, let's look at some quick deck suggestions that work really well with this theme. Alright, so this is a very potent theme combination that you could potentially see in Legendary Arena. One that really works really well with Sci-Fi and Mystical. Is this verbatim the top combination of cards that you could see with this theme pairing? Maybe not necessarily, but it's one that I've seen at least most of these cards in this combination together. Most of the time with this theme combo. It's just very potent. You got Unholy Combustion there, can cancel out. You've got Sizzler, you've got Mechatimi. Of course, there are multiple legendaries in here. Master Ninja buffs all these cards, makes them all better. There's just a lot of potentially really devastating things that could come from this combination. Plus, you got a cheap Cycling Zen Cartman that could respawn. Visitors are cheap. Enforcer Jimmy, Space Pilot, or Space Warrior Token. There's a lot of very cheap cards that can kind of really cycle through very well. As you can see, a very low average energy cost with this kind of deck combo, but still very potent, still potential to be devastating. You might see a Pope Timmy in here maybe, then maybe something like Hanky or something else. Witch Doctor Token might be used instead of maybe Space Pilot or instead of Space Warrior or something like that. There's a lot of combo and a lot of options here, and it's just kind of up to you what you want to run. But that's, again, one of the things that's very scary about this combination is that there's so many options or a couple of different quick changes you could make that could just make this deck absolutely devastating. Another potential combination that you could see with this theme, of course, paired with Adventure. Again, is this the best overall theme combination? Maybe not, but this could be a very devastating one, and one that is out there all the time. That is, of course, a Frontier Bradley version of this deck with Adventure. Of course, there's a lot of potential here. You could have Inuit Kenny be kind of your cancel card. Lightning Bolt, of course. Some people might throw maybe Mind Control in this kind of deck combo, but you see a lot of very cheap fighter cards, easily be able to rotate kind of these things. You could have 6-element Rainy dominate. Sizzler Stewart is devastating with Frontier Bradley paired with it and things like that. But this is also one that's kind of popular and one that you could definitely see potentially in this meta. Again, another combination that you could potentially see with this kind of with the sci-fi theme paired here with fantasy. Obviously, the most potent one, or the one that's the most popular paired with fantasy, generally is a Space Pilot Bradley deck. Again, you could have the cheap usage of Paladin Butters, Princess Kenny, as well as Underpants Gnomes. You could throw in 4S Monkeys. Gizmo Ike is used oftentimes. Hanky could be thrown in there. There's a lot of variety here. Instead of 6-element Rainy, you could potentially go with something like Mr. Slave to be a little bit more defensive. Of course, Catapult Timmy will, with his charge ability, will give you rats, count as an assassin unit. So, I mean, there's a lot of different variety as well here with this as well that could be very potent to go around. And of course, if you guys are wondering what the best theme combination for that I have found with sci-fi and superheroes, that is this deck here on screen that I use. This is my main deck, the deck I have the most fun with right now. Of course, my card levels are a big reason for a lot of my potential success with this deck, to be honest. I do have level 7 Lava that's very underrated. I have the Alien Drone, Alien Queen Red, again for defensive purposes. Mosquito, still viable in this meta. Enforcer Jimmy, of course, there to use as the anti-charge unit. Sizzler Stewart, I got 6-element Rainy. Visitors, Hanky, and Mysterion is my main go-to kind of thing to kind of cycle through. Midberry Crunch is very good, and Chaos as well. So is this the best deck overall in the game? Absolutely not. But it's still fun. It's really good to beat those Ink and Dar decks with this deck. It's the most satisfying and rewarding thing you could ever do. But again, it does have some weaknesses with this deck. Obviously, there's no direct cancel. So if I get run against a double tank kind of deck, it's just gonna, hopefully I have Lava and Alien Queen Red at the ready and ready to go. It just takes a little bit of strategy and a little bit of practice to kind of get this deck down. And no, you will not win every time with this deck. But this is the most successful deck I have found with sci-fi superhero combo. I think that's going to do it today for the sci-fi theme beginner's guide for 2021. Hopefully this video helps you out. I know this video was maybe a little bit longer than the adventure theme was, but I wanted to give you guys the best chance to be the most successful with the sci-fi theme, and hopefully this video will help you out with that. I am going to be doing the rest of the themes within this game, probably do Mystical next. I know many of you again want superheroes, but I'm going in order of the themes as they're unlocked within campaign. So technically the next one would be Mystical. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys get the information out of this. If so, please like the video. Please let me know down below what you think and any changes you would like to make to this beginner's guide, if there are any, or any suggestions you have for tips to help other people out other than the ones that I gave, because many of you are far more skilled at this game than I am. But thank you guys again so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video again, and until next time, guys, my name is Druzy.